A woman that's under the teachings of Tony Gaskins will not take male correction. She'll say she will, and she'll say, "Oh, I want a man. I'm okay with," but in reality, she's the one that's gonna continue to strive to correct the man because he's the leader. So any mistakes or anything happening, any ruffles in the relationship, is on him. So she is not going to take accountability or correction, but which is a male quality. So it actually puts her in the masculine by these teachings. So it produces passive men who fear upsetting the woman. Okay. Next, he encourages women to test men constantly. So women are taught to analyze, screen, and psychologically evaluate men at all times, creating suspicion-driven relationships instead of trust-based ones. So the women are going in there and constantly testing. Well, if they do this, then that means this. If they do this. So they're not building genuine connections. They're continually using manipulation tactics to constantly test the man. Now, that's not a means for a healthy relationship. Next one, promotes female-centered relationships. Now, the relationships revolve around a woman's feelings, comfort, and validation, while the man's purpose, standards, and leadership become secondary. So it's all about, okay, can the man prioritize the woman's emotions? So the man is supposed to tiptoe around the woman's emotions, and that's how he's supposed to, that's what's considered the good man, one that tiptoes around her emotions. Now, of course, as a human being, just in general, we have to have compassion. We have to understand each other's feelings. So if you're a man, you have to understand a woman's feelings and vice versa. But to make your whole life to prioritize in a relationship her feelings over the man's truth and his purpose and his direction and what he knows to be right, that is not, first, is not biblically sound. If we're going to talk about a man of God, that's not biblically sound, and it's just leading to eventually a dissatisfied man and woman, and then we'll get to that. Okay, next he turns relationships into power struggles. So instead of cooperation and unity, relationships become about leverage, control, emotional positioning, and who has the upper hand. So it's always about this leverage and balance. So it becomes a power struggle. And then the woman's always going to flip it because the man's the leader. The man, he's the one that creating this this power struggle, and he's creating me like I'm an enemy. But when a woman is using the tactics of Gaskins, it's creating this power struggle, so that make sure that she's not going to get used. Because a lot of the women, he's teaching them to prioritize their own self-defense over sacrifice, cooperation, and all of these, which we're going to get to that. Because a lot of women, maybe they've already been hurt. That's why they're coming to a man like this. So they've already been hurt, and now he's taking that hurt, and I'm going to make sure that you're protected. But he's prioritizing their self-protection over